We are seeing a rise of violence in this country that is quite astronomical. And of course, a lot of the polls and surveys are showing that that is the number one issue that is of concern right now to the voters is a violent crime. As an expert, Dr. Lindstedt, on Bible prophecy and theology, what does the Bible say about the increase of violence as one of the signs of the last days?
Well, we know that this is a sign because it was a sign that's referred to in two major scriptures. One is in Romans chapter 1. Uh, what we've done, we've taken God, we've taken the Bible, we've taken morality, and I'm going to say we've taken common sense out of the public arena. We don't teach the Bible in school, we don't teach the values of the Bible in school, and so as a result of this, our society really has no anchor. And so the violence is just a portion of that. Because there's no absolutes in their mind, there's no absolutes. Therefore, they can do whatever they want to. They can murder an unborn child. They can murder a child that's born. Uh, Murder is considered nothing. I was looking at the statistics in Chicago. Uh, Hundreds of murders, and about 60% of them are young people under the age of 18. This is a tragedy. Matter of fact, at one time we were respected in the world. We're no longer respected because the simple value of life is gone. So the Bible talks about that. It talks about in the days of Noah that there was evil continually. This is part of that evil. And then we go to Timothy, both in First and Second Timothy. He talks about society and how the natural affection from family to family, person to person, it's gone. We're seeing this take place. I was thinking of the story, and someone reminded me of this in a phone conversation yesterday, that here was Lot. And remember, Lot did some things he shouldn't have done. For one thing, he left Abraham. He took the better land. He went to Sodom and Gomorrah, lived there, and became an official. And when he saw what was taking place in Sodom, it says this, that Lot, who had become a leader, when he sat in the gate, he was vexed. He was brokenhearted. Well, we ought to be brokenhearted because you know what? The conditions of America are about like Sodom. And there's violence. They came to his door. They wanted to rape the people that were there. He offers his children to them. I mean, have we stooped so low that our children are not important, our families are not important? So when we've gone against law enforcement, who in their right mind would want to be a law enforcement officer? I read where Chicago needs 1,000 law officers, 1,000. They're never going to fill it because who in their right mind would risk their life when if you do arrest somebody, they let them back out. It's a tragedy. It really is a catastrophe in this country.
What do you talk about the border. Again, we're getting record numbers of people flooding over our borders. And of course, we are very concerned about MS-13 gangs, drug cartels. Pretty much the drug cartels can run Mexico. Um,
Mm.
you talk about devaluing life. I see where the Biden administration, a new article by my friend Daniel Greenfield, Biden's DOJ threatening pro-life protesters with
Mm.
11 years in jail for civil disobedience. I'm reading another headline today. If I go over to the Liberty Daily, I read another headline today. FBI raids home of pro-life advocate who prayed and sang outside of baby body part chop shop. And this is at lifenews.com. The FBI has raided the home of another pro-life advocate, this time targeting a pro-life man and his family after he prayed and sang outside an abortion business last year. So it seems as though it's open season on pro-lifers. Was on parents who are considered domestic terrorists for warning
Mm.
about mass mandating and critical race theory. Now it seems like it's open season on the pro-lifers, and yet I'm not aware of the FBI doing anything about all the fire bombings of all the pro-life groups. So it seems like the FBI is now joined in with Antifa, Black Lives Matter groups, whoever's doing the bombing of these pro-life groups, these anarchist type violent groups. It seems as though the FBI is joining in on their war against pro-lifers.
When do we lose the FBI? And because we've lost it. And when do we lose the value of life in our country? Because we've lost it. So there is a reason to be concerned. And the thing that really I look in the long run, it's not that we don't like people from other countries. My goodness, I spend a good portion of my thinking time on missions, but I just think that there's an orderly way to do it. And what's taking place is not orderly, and it's dangerous. We're watching drugs flow through this country in an incredible fashion. Matter of fact, my concern is during this pagan holiday called Halloween, watch how many kids die as a result of these drugs that are being brought in. There's no stopping it, and it will only stop when the powerful people in our House of Representatives and in our Senate say, okay, this is touching me, because it's a disgrace. And you know what? God has every right to judge America, because we're taking every value that God has given to us and we're dumping it on its side. And matter of fact, some of my young people say, does it really pay to live like the Bible says? Because it looks like every single thing, every single day the government comes against us. The people that I know that are law abiding, it seems like they're penalized for obeying the law, while the people who make the laws don't even obey their own laws. That's okay. In the long run, God's the final judge, and it'll come back. And in my own city, I'm shocked. We just had an article, and it appeared, and it talks about how that the schools are teaching kids how to keep transgender identity secret from their parents. What kind of counsel is that? I mean, have we gone so far that we think, okay, suddenly the school board, the teacher has more say-so in the life of a student than the parents? See, this is completely out of God's order. And that's why, as a country, we're in desperate shape. We've lost the orderness of God. God is divine order. It was lost in Noah's day, and now it's being lost in our day. And so that's why we're watching every crazy thing take place.
Well, and here we have a headline from NBC News: a fentanyl courier moving enough drugs through to kill millions got busted, then slipped the DEA. So apparently, NBC News is reporting that the FBI and the DEA can't even keep track of someone running enough drugs through 114 pounds of pure fentanyl in June, enough to kill more than 25 million people. But boy, they sure can track down the pro-life groups.
Yeah, it's very one-sided what they're doing. I would be discouraged if I didn't know that God was going to win. And I would also be discouraged if I didn't know that this is the background that God said would exist in the last days. I think we're living in the last days. Not just the topics that we're talking about here in terms of school and children, but I look what's taking place in the Middle East. I look what's taking place in Europe. My goodness, this is the very background that God said would be in the last days. I think when the Lord comes, and I look for that to be soon, I think we're going to say, thank you. Right now there are people that say we're going to miss out on something. What are we going to miss out on?
No, not me.
Miss out on we're missing out.
The only
on
thing we might miss out on, Rob, is being arrested and thrown into a gulag.
Another headline that I think we should talk about is, and I put an article on our webpage just today, but it has to do with Israel preparing for possible escalation on the north border. What is taking place with Russia. Here's I'm going to use this word. I see people that are blind to the truth. A lot of them are elected officials, people that you'd think would be so in tune with the truth that they thrive on it. Because doesn't it seem like if you were going to serve the people that you want to have the truth, because the truth is really the thing that's going to be the foundation to build on. And so here's a situation that has come up, and of course it was the sabotage of the Nord Stream. I have some pretty strong feelings about how that occurred, and we know this, whether the United States did it or blessed it, we know that it did occur. And so now we're watching the fallout from that. Russia has their eye on on oil or natural gas in Israel. And what is incredible is that just in the last week or so, when all this has taken place, a new deal was made in Israel where Lipid said that we will give the natural gas rights, the profits, to Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then Hezbollah will write a royalty check to Israel. There's not a chance in the world that Hezbollah is ever going to write a royalty check to Israel. So why is this whole thing taking place? Well, and so here's Israel, and Israel is already preparing for a possible escalation of the northern border with Lebanon because of the oil and gas situation. Here's what's occurring. Russia feels like, okay, our pipeline is not flowing, but we've got a gas source in Israel. Number one, they don't want Israel to bring gas to Europe because Russia likes to have Europe beholden to them. Number two, they want to take a spoil. And so it's amazing that here is Hezbollah. Who in their right mind would ever put Hezbollah in charge of anything? It's a terrorist organization. The Biden administration encouraged Lipid to take this deal with a terrorist organization. We've gone from the ditch to the deep hole. It's one thing to say deal with Lebanon. To deal with Hezbollah, this is a terrorist organization. And so they objected to it, and now our White House is saying, no, sign the deal. You got to sign the deal. Otherwise, we're going to break our friendship. This is unbelievable that would be taking place, but it's exactly what the Bible said would take place in those last days.
I want to go to this article right here. Don't look up, says The Sun. Inside $65 million Russian plan for space advertising that could change the sky forever. And they're showing a Coca-Cola ad, it looks like, in the air, in the sky. Dr. Rob, the reason I bring this up is because for years, many of us have talked about the fact we believe the technocrats, the transhumanists, the globalists will use some kind of counterfeit miracles, signs, and wonders in the sky. So here we are seeing now they're going to start advertising in the sky. I wonder what else they might advertise in the sky or what deceptions they might pull off with these counterfeit miracle signs and wonders. And with that, I also want to ask you to comment on that. But also on your website, you have that special that people can download on when does the Antichrist appear. I also want to ask you at the same time, second topic to cover today with you in this segment is what will be some of the characteristics of the Antichrist. But let me first have you comment on this $65 million Russian plan to advertise in the sky.
There's two main Bible passages that deal with what the Antichrist will use in terms of tactics. One is in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and it says he comes with lying signs and wonders. In other words, there are signs, but they're tricks. That's why they're called lying signs and wonders. And then in Revelation chapter 13, he comes and he's going to trick Israel into signing an agreement. I'm really concerned. Matter of fact, there's a new article I think we posted on the website on Macron. And here's Israel trying to join in with a large group of people. And Macron is saying Europe's got to become a major factor in these days right now as we're forming a new world order. So here's what we know about Satan. Satan was a liar. Genesis 3 talked about the serpent. He was more crafty, more subtle than all the other beasts. Everything that the devil does is a lie. It's to deceive. It's a trick. A lot of the so-called miracles are not miracles. So when I see people so obsessed with UFOs and signs in the heavens, I know exactly what it is. The Bible says so. Ephesians chapter 6 says that we do fight a battle. It's a spiritual battle. It's in high places. I think the spirit world is active. I don't think it's UFOs. I don't think it's something coming from another planet. Instead, you see, Lucifer had a following of angels. He had a third of them. They fell with him. And so he's the prince and the power of the air. So we're watching these tricks, and that's what they are. They're tricks. They're not really miracles. They're tricks. They're deceptions. All of us have been to a circus or to a magic show, so-called, and we watched a guy pull something out of the hat or switch these cards. These are tricks. They're illusions. And so Satan has power, but his power is nothing compared to the power of an almighty God. And so what he does lies, he does signs and wonders. And so that's what he's relying on. There's another passage that I've been looking at lately, and it's in Daniel chapter 7, Daniel chapter 8. And again, it talks about the fact that when this leader comes, and the reason I think it refers to the Antichrist, because it appears historically, it talks about Antiochus Epiphanes, but it goes way beyond Antiochus Epiphanes. And it talks about in the last days. And here's what it says, that he gains his power by deception, and he gains his power by talking about peace when he has nothing in mind about peace at all. It's just simply a way to gain the confidence of people. That's what I think is taking place right now. I'm very concerned because everyone's saying, you know, we want a two-state solution. We need peace so we can bring about this two-state solution. We need the red heifer and the ashes so that we can welcome the Messiah. These are tricks. We're not going to have a peaceful solution. You know, they crucified the Prince of Peace. And so now a false Prince of Peace will come. And so I think the world is set up to be deceived by an Antichrist, just as Adam and Eve were set up to be deceived by Satan himself.
And I agree with you. The interest in UFOs and the growing interest in UFOs and the talk about it is setting the stage for massive global spiritual deception. This talk of finding life on Mars and outer space, you know, people more highly evolved, is all setting up, I believe, for this global deception. I agree with you. I think this is demonic. These are not entities from another planet. So in the closing minute here we got, give me a couple characteristics of what the Antichrist will look like. I don't plan on being here when he arrives, but what's he going to look like? What are going to be some of his characteristics?
Yeah, well, we're guaranteed as Christians not to be here when he arrives. Number one, he's going to be really smooth. He's going to be crafty. He's going to be smart. I don't think
so. That rules out Joe Biden right there.
It does. Yeah, I would be disappointed with the devil if that's who he took, because I think he can do better than that. I think he's going to be smooth. I think he's going to be someone who's going to appeal to both sides, and that's what's so amazing. There are people right now that are negotiating peace, and they're negotiating both sides. And so I think what he'll have a flair. He'll have a way to talk to this person and say one thing and say something completely different to another person, but it doesn't appear like they're in conflict. It will be in conflict. He's self-serving. So here's what we know. He wants power. In Revelation chapter 13, no less than 7 times it says power. He wants control. He wants worldwide. He's going to do something worldwide. That's why I look at the story we just posted on what Macron is doing, trying to make a worldwide army, a worldwide Europe. Wow. I'm not saying he's the Antichrist. I'm just saying that's the format that's being set up for someone so smooth and so slick to take over the world.
And of course, power and control includes a digital economy, digital currency,
absolutely,
social credit scores, can't buy or sell without the mark. Dr. Rob Lindstedt, folks, I hope you'll check out his website, BibleTIPnow.org, BibleTIPnow.org. A lot of free downloads. Thank you, Dr. Rob. Thank you, folks. Take care.